Hey guys, welcome back to my Wedding Bells series. In this episode, we'll be talking about how to choose your photographer and videographer. The first thing you want to consider is your budget. Obviously, you need to figure out how much you're willing to spend on a photographer or videographer, or even if you want to cut that all together. For me personally, having a photographer and a videographer was the most important thing to me, apart from getting married, of course. Once you have your budget, then you can start looking for photographers in your area and looking at the different packages that they have. Number 2, the second thing you want to consider is what type of photography style you like the most. There are so many different styles of wedding photography and photography in general that you really need to do your research and make sure that you really love the photographer's style. So 2 of the most frequently used photography styles are traditional and photojournalistic. Traditional is where they basically work off of a prepared shot list, and it mostly consists of posed photos. Photojournalistic, on the other hand, is reality-based, and there's less posed photos, more candid stuff. Basically, they just capture the event as it goes. Personally for me, I think the best style is a combination of both. The third thing to consider, which heavily affects the price, is how many shooters do you want and for how long. Generally speaking, 2 shooters for photography is a pretty good option if you have the bride and the groom getting ready in separate locations. If getting ready shots is something that you want in your package, then that might be something to consider. For example, I'm only having 1 shooter for photography because Peter and I will be getting ready at the same location. In fact, everything is happening at the same location. In terms of how long, you really need to determine what you want the photographer to capture. If you want them to capture the entire day, so getting ready, the ceremony, formal shots, the reception, and dancing and all of that stuff afterwards, cake cutting, first dances, then you're going to want the biggest package that they offer. As you trim down the hours, things on the outskirts of that day get trimmed as well. So you really have to consider what the most important parts of your day are and what you're willing to spend money on. Numero 4. The fourth thing to consider is whether or not you want an engagement shoot. Now, an engagement shoot is good for a couple of reasons. I know for me and Peter personally, we're not super comfortable in front of strangers, so having the engagement shoot is an awesome way to get to know our photographers and kind of build up a rapport with them before the wedding day itself. Secondly, it also gives us a good opportunity to kind of practice how to pose properly because we're both kind of like awkward turtles in that department, so I think the practice will be good. Thirdly, it also just lets you know how well you get along with the photographers that you hired. It's a good way to find out if maybe something isn't working out, and that way you have the opportunity to find a new photographer if it just doesn't happen to be a match. Because the good thing about engagement photos is that you can redo engagement photos. You can't redo your wedding day. The fifth thing to consider when getting your photographer or videographer is what kind of extras they include in their packages. This includes albums, prints, whether or not you get all the digital copies, printing rights, all of that kind of thing. So these are great questions to ask your photographers when you meet with them in person. Other things to consider are travel fees. Depending on how far your venue is from the photographer's location, there might be a travel fee involved, so you need to work that into your budget. And other things to consider are when you will get your photos back after the wedding or engagement shoot. Another thing to ask them is what their backup plan is. Do they use multiple memory cards and have multiple cameras? Do they have backup shooters to come if for some reason they can't make it? My best recommendation is to shop around. Get as many quotes as possible from any photographers that you might be interested in, and even some that you might not be interested in, just to compare price points. In terms of videography, a lot of people choose to skip this, and I fully support that if that's not what is important to you. However, I love making videos, clearly. I love capturing memories in any way possible. I really wanted videography as part of my package. I'm so excited that Peter and I have chosen our photographer and videographer, and I really look forward to having the engagement shoot with them on September 25th. It's probably going to be super awkward, but I'm sure it will be lots of fun, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the photos look like after. And I think that's when I'll truly start getting really excited about the actual wedding day. I know that sounds weird, but it just seems so far in advance that I can't even process it being real. For our photographer and videographer, we chose a package that had 1 photographer and 2 videographers. They will be with us for the entire day, so they'll be capturing everything from getting ready all the way to the end of the night. With that, we get one album, which will contain about 50 photos. We'll also be getting a canvas print, which is really cool. I love canvas prints. The engagement shoot is included. And lastly, we got an awesome surprise where they decided to throw in a drone for free because they just recently purchased one and they're trying to build up their portfolio. So they've been giving a lot of couples over the past few months a drone for free, which is super awesome. However, I don't recommend using it during your ceremony because they tend to be very loud, unless you don't mind hearing buzzing while you're saying your vows. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope this helped someone pick out the photographer and videographer, or at least get you started on things to think about once you dive right into this whole process. Don't forget to hit that like button and click that subscribe button, and I'll be posting more videos over the next year during my wedding planning process. Bye!